And then as far as like in general, as you as a composer in general, who has been your biggest inspiration for composition? Who is, if there's one person that you could say that inspired you the most as a composer, who would it be?
Wow. Well, I guess there's a long list of composers who I've followed and admired, but who has inspired me most? I'd have to mention a standout teacher who helped me to make pivotal shifts in my development, and that would be Mark Pollard.
Uh-huh.
He was a teacher while I was I did an honours year while I was at Victorian College of the Arts when I was living in Melbourne. And he made me realise the importance of including heart in composing serious contemporary music,
Uh-huh.
music. So it's almost like he gave me permission to include myself in my music.
Yes.
It's almost like that realisation. So, or to give my music a soul or a personality.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, obviously I probably would have come to that realisation myself, but it's almost like gave me the permission to push it forward and haven't looked back. So
Right. And I feel like
yeah,
that a lot of times from our teachers, we, as musicians, we're, um, always trying to be our best selves and being perfect in everything that we do. And
yeah,
and then it's great when we get that permission to not forget to add our own souls in there and our own
yeah.
artistry.
Writing contemporary classical music, it can be perceived as academic music or a little less perhaps approachable or accessible to general audience members.
Hmm.
So, because you get so caught up working alone, working for ages at your own music, that it's like, actually, I can actually include myself in this.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wonderful.
also, but my main source of inspiration, particularly over the last 5 years or so, has come from architecture.
Oh.
So I've composed several works, which is part of my PhD, which are, in a sense, translations of architectural space. So
Into
the buildings
sound.
are, sorry?
Translations of architectural space into sound.
Yeah, so the buildings I've chosen to translate are not any old building, but were carefully selected for their unconventional spatial design qualities. So
Oh.
spatial design, which questions engineering principles or on the surface seem to defy logic. So it's the extremities of the architectural design which excites and fuels my current need to write music. So,
Oh.
but it's an enthusiasm equal to when I first started composing. When I first wrote my first few pieces and had that enthusiastic, exciting sense of wanting to explore and go further, and doing this, writing music based on architecture, I had those same feelings.
Oh,
But
wow. That's great.
yeah,
And
and
go ahead.
if I didn't pursue music, I would have pursued architecture as a career. So
Really?
I guess the way I found them to connect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very neat. So, how do you translate architecture into sound or into music? Do you have a
well,
process?
well, yes. Well, my PhD has taken shape over 3 stages, and so the first stage was to really establish my methodology in that I was trying to make as pure translations as possible based on architectural elevation drawings.
Hmm.
So I would actually draw and graph out on an architectural plan all the
Wow.
spacing and all the timing, or sorry, not timing, all the spacing, any spacing issues were translated into timing. So, and then I would graph it all out and then have I think a series of about 8 processes involved to
Uh-huh.
then just give me a skeleton for a piece
Oh.
based on, and then that skeleton will then, consciously will be added to base, will give it musical expression and not just an academic exercise.
Uh-huh.
Giving it in my sense of my heart, I would look to the actual initial artistic concept of what the architect wanted to achieve with the building, to give it a narrative, I guess, to then turn it into something that can be not just an academic exercise, but a
Right.
musical expression. And of the last piece I've just written, I've turned into being actually visiting. I had the opportunity to visit a couple of buildings.
Oh, cool.
And the most exciting one would have been in 2016 when I was in Toronto for another opportunity, and the Royal Ontario Museum, which is the Daniel Libeskind building, the extension of it, was a subject of a piece as part of my PhD. It was just a coincidence I happened to be in Toronto, so I gave me the opportunity to visit the building and be inside the space. So that opened up other possibilities. So while I was there, I experimented with, which I'd never done before, is actually took field recordings within the 5 main spaces of the extension, which is a crystal formation.
Oh, wow.
I took 5 individual sound recordings, just field recordings in the centre of this space, and one other recording, which is in the central core of the building, where these 5 galleries connect, and where you pass through the other spaces to connect to the galleries. I made a field recording in there, which was the live electronic element for a piece. And the other 5 field recordings I took home and opened in the software, which I could get the frequency analysis from.
Uh-huh.
So then if you opened up the file as a frequency analysis, you could see wherever the thicker dark lines were the sounds recorded within that acoustic space.
Wow.
And if you run the mouse over it, it actually gave you the musical pitch.
Holy moly. That's really neat.
So I spent 6 months documenting 365 pages of A3 pages to then create the skeleton and then form into a musical language. So that turned out to be a 15-minute piece.
Wow. That is really cool. And I know that was a ton of work, but man, what you have now is super, super unique. Yeah.
But I guess over the course of doing this, because I have determined what works and what doesn't, and become to know quicker throughout the process of eliminating. If I'm going to go down this track, I think, I don't think that works so well. I know from the previous piece that it took me so long to do that. I can eliminate that whole entire thing to arrive here.
Right. So become more efficient in your process.
Yeah. So, I'm at the end of that now. So I'm at the write-up stage.
Oh, good. And are any of your pieces for flute or have flute in them from your PhD?
Oh, yes. The last piece was... I'm not quite a chamber orchestra, but I guess a large chamber ensemble, and it included the woodwind part of it was flute and bassoon.
Oh, great.
So it didn't necessarily feature flute, but the flute was included.
Oh, wonderful. And what's the title of that composition?
Spiral Spring.
Spiral Spring. Okay.
Without getting into too much of how I composed it and such, because we'll be here for ages.
Right.
It's based on the building. From stage 3 of my research, which is the Audemars Piguet, which is a Swiss watch manufacturer in Switzerland, and the building is the not long ago finished completion of their workshop and museum, which is attached to the original buildings from the 19th century.
Wow.
And it's a spiral formation. So there's no actual columns on the inside of the building. It's only held up by the outer sheet of glass. And you enter in the building from the outside and you spiral into the centre.
Oh.
And as you walk through the space, all the walls are glass. So you can see in through to the workshops where people actually are building the watches. It's quite an interesting building.
Wow, yes.
But what I did is I used that spiral and unraveled it into a linear line and broke up all the spaces which are used, like the workshops, gallery spaces, to then determine the sections of the piece.
Oh, cool.
And how the characteristics were changed. So as you're passing through the workshop, without too cliche or pastiche, the sounds of clock format, like the sounds of watches effects throughout the ensemble. But on a larger scale, the spiral in nature is a Fibonacci series.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So the whole piece is a giant Fibonacci series.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah.
Wow. A lot of
So,
work on that one too.
yeah, but instead of spending up to 6 or 8 months on a pre-composition, from beginning to end, I wrote it in 6 weeks. So
Wow.
yeah.
Very efficient.
Well, 12-minute piece too. So
Oh, great. Wow. Well,
and
we'll look forward to hearing that one.
yeah, that was performed in November last year. So
Oh, wow. Great. Cool. Cool. And then finally, is there anything that you have that's upcoming other than finishing your PhD and all of your compositions and everything that you would like to promote?
well, as I was talking about earlier, in April I'll be in Barcelona for 2 weeks attending the 2018 Mixture Festival. So I'll have 2 works performed there, and I'm currently composing a solo accordion piece. Very tricky.
Oh.
And an electric acoustic piece for multiple speakers and myself playing melodica.
Oh, neat. That sounds really fun.
I'll be a participant of the composition and sound experimentation workshop, so this is an opportunity to test new ideas.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Absolutely. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But also, there's a question that you've missed about writing for the flute.
Oh, is there? Okay. Tell us about that.
Well, because the question is, what do I like about writing for the flute and find challenging?
Uh-huh.
So I appreciate the instrument's versatility, although it's true for most instruments that composers can get caught up in their capabilities and potential for pushing extremities. Mm-hmm. But speaking in a solo context, I find writing for the flute particularly appealing for its vast extended capabilities. Mm-hmm. But for me, I don't know, but they appear to be not too awkward or difficult without a bit of practice to produce. Mm-hmm. What I mean is like when you foot oboe, I don't know, if you're playing multiphonics and whatnot, it seems a lot more difficult to maintain a solid quality of sound. But for some reason on the flute, but not speaking from a non-flute player here, the extended techniques appear more reasonably idiomatic for the instrument. So that's what I find appealing. Yeah. I don't know, maybe not. But this appeal on the flip side is also what I find challenging about writing for the flute. So when I was composing Hum or Troll, at key moments I was experimenting with attempting to disassociate sounds which you might expect to hear coming from the flute. Mm-hmm. So the challenge lied in writing flute music which avoided sounding too fluty, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
At moments, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Yes, we do have lots of extended techniques, and it's like learning to play the flute in a different way from how most of us start. And there are lots of extended techniques, and we actually use them a lot, too, to help us refine our tone or some of our more basic techniques. So that's, and so we practice them a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is also very helpful.
Oh, yes, that is also very helpful, too, for composers, yes. Yeah. And players, for sure. All right, great. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and I hope that we all keep you on our radar for new music composition for the flute in the future. And
Great.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Just let me know if the piece. Obviously you do, because the website is website and Facebook page is constantly updated. But I'll be happy to know if anyone chooses to perform it later in this year, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, we can definitely. We always try in our organization to let flutists who perform the winning works to let the composer know that you're playing it, so that you guys can know, and so that all of us can know too, so we can go catch a performance.
Yeah, also I have to thank the FNMC as well, for New Music Consortium.
Yes.
For this opportunity as well. It's been really good. and I can see that you do a lot for composers and opportunities for composers to write music for flute and have our music out there as
Yeah.
much as flute players like to want to pursue our music too. So
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
yeah,
all of us that are members love new music and love performing
yeah,
it and love living music. You know.
yeah.
So yeah, great.
Thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you. Have a good one.